in a million years teach my girls that they have to grow up to be reliant on a man, as you can well imagine. I would never teach my son that he should be attracted.
But Tracy, you're the same one. You're the same one who bragged that she's so strong and so tough and doesn't need a man's money. Yet you're taking alimony.
Oh! 3 children.
Okay, Mark.
You know what?
So, but you don't need a man's money.
All right, well, that's it.
Is it on? Okay. I want to get paid the same as a man, and I think you understand that. So, if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man, and do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job.
Miss Skinny Minnie.
Which Miss Skinny Minnie?
Isn't her name Mimi or Skinny Minnie?
Yeah, okay, Mimi.
Well, the skinniest girl up there. Anyways, she made a comment that you have to have a lot of willingness and motivation to be skinny.
I was quoting Dr. Kelly Brownell of Yale. That's what he says.
I don't care who you was quoting. You said it, own it.
I agree with him, absolutely.
Okay, good. But I'm a plus-size model. I am willing and motivated to wake up every day to keep these curves. I don't want to wake up and look like you and be confused and quoting everybody. Why don't you say what you have to say and stand up for what you believe?
Oh, I was just tagging on to, she was talking about the same Yale Center, so.
Okay, let me ask you a question while you're standing up. Why is it okay for you to call her Skinny Minnie? But it's not okay for her to comment about someone's size that's larger.
Well, I don't know her name. So, okay, you got me on that, but moving on. No chubbies. No chubbies. No, I got something no chubbies.
You said it. Own it.
You touched me. I never touched you.
Oh, now it's the breath.
Can't help you. I never touched you.
In your opinion, what's the cure to our westernized kind of idea that it's okay to catcall at women and that sort of thing? What is the solution in your opinion?
What is the solution to catcalling? Certainly not walking around in my underwear.
Women line up to date guys like me, and you've had them all on your show.
I don't see any women lined up at all. I don't see any women lined up to you, and I would definitely be at the end of that line.
Well, if you hit the treadmill a little more, you'd be at the front.
You know that less than 10% of rapes are actually reported.
Okay, where's that?
To the cops.
Where's that?
It's from all of the women's organizations. You can look it up online. You can find it through the socialized organizations that study rape. I participate with an organization that works as a rape crisis center. We base that on the number of calls. The police know, based on the unofficial reports, the third-party reporting, and the direct reports. This is not a secret that about 10% of rapes are reported.
So how do you know 10% of rapes are reported if the others aren't?
Because those people call the women's centers, they ask for help, they seek medical attention.
So they are reported.
There's nothing to do with rape. Nobody over here is talking about it's okay to fucking rape women. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. You're making shit up, and you're changing the definition of rape to try to justify your fucking lunatic agenda. And it's horse shit. And you should all be fucking ashamed of yourselves. And any fucking man who comes anywhere near any one of you fucking slags is an idiot.
We're done speaking to you now.
Okay, good. Then don't fucking speak. Stand there and shut the fuck up. Because that's what you should have done in the first place. Nobody needs your stupid fucking asshole opinion. Fuck you. So go fuck yourselves, you stupid cunts.
Mark, before we let you go, though, we'd like to hear some thoughts and some comments you made earlier this week about domestic violence. For our viewers who haven't heard them, here's what Mark had to say.
Blokes who've lost self-esteem, they've lost their job, they're welfare dependent, they've got other troubles, drugs, alcohol in their life. It's that loss of self-esteem where I think they use the domestic violence as a coping mechanism to get over all the other crap that they've got in their lives.
Obviously this has caused some outrage, Mark. Do you stand by those comments, and do we really need to be making excuses for perpetrators of domestic violence?
Well, Eddie, the critics haven't done their research, you see. I was paraphrasing there a very important report in New South Wales from the Coroner's Court, where they look at the domestic violence deaths and produce some conclusions about them. And they talk about a coping mechanism where men living in poverty, underclass circumstances, poor self-esteem, use domestic violence as a macabre, tragic type of coping mechanism. So the critics in this area run on emotion and ideology instead of facts and actually going to read the report. I urge people to read that report.
Well, the facts
and if you
are
haven't read it, you're not doing justice to the issue.
Mark, the facts are that domestic violence doesn't just affect people in low socioeconomic circumstances. It stretches right across all levels of society, doesn't it?
Well, it's concentrated there. Eddie, the basic fact is that for every domestic incident in a middle-class family in Australia, there are 10 in a public housing estate, 25 in Indigenous communities. That's borne out by crime statistics around the country. So you can't really deal with this serious issue in a proper way unless you're providing accurate analysis. And to say there's an epidemic, that's wrong. To say it's evenly spread across the community, that's wrong. To say that it's a product of patriarchy where somehow men have been genetically engineered to dominate women, that's ridiculous.
Do you stand by your statement that women are safer than they've ever been before, given that there are close to 80 deaths from domestic violence across Australia last year?
Yeah, well, Eddie, I urge you to read the ABS Personal Safety Survey that shows that since 1996... You have read it? Well, you'll notice that since 1996, the rate of domestic assault and incidents has come down according to that report. So you can only go by the official statistics rather than left-wing feminist hysteria.
So you do believe that, in fact, Rosie Batty, from you, quote, causes more harm than good?
Well, I don't think it's helpful to demonise men in these circumstances. I don't think it's helpful to go around talking about an epidemic when actually in Australia the domestic assault rate against women in a 12-month period is 1%. Now, I wish it was 0%, of course. We all want it to be 0%. But I know enough about politics to realise that if you want to analyse and get solutions to a problem, you have to be accurate. And saying there's an epidemic, which sort of suggests the rate is 50 or 60%, when in fact it's 1%, that does a disservice to the women in need because you're dealing in fantasy rather than fact.
Mark, speaking as a fellow bloke, we've just got to be so careful about these messages and making excuses for this. I just...
Well, no, I'm not. No one's making excuses here, Mike. What you've got to be careful about is analysing the facts, rather than propaganda that people put out there that's not supported by official government reports, official government surveys, and there's nothing I've said that's not factual. Now, we've had a few items here where you've tried to say, oh, well, maybe that's not the case. I've got references, I've got reports, I've got official surveys that back up the facts and figures that I'm putting out there. Now, it mightn't be the information that people want to hear, but I'd rather have a debate where you can deal in reality rather than left-wing feminist fantasy.
All right, Mark Latham, thank you for your time.